Today, as you know, we read a double parsha, Matot and Maseh. We have reached the end of the book of Numbers, the end of Israel's wanderings. Maseh is the final parasha, and it literally means marches. Maseh traces the steps of the Israelites' 40-year journey through the wilderness, drawing a map of their travels from the moment they left Egypt to their arrival in the plains of Moab, on the brink of entering the promised land. We read that under God's direction, Moses recorded the starting points of the Israelites' travels. And the Torah goes on to list 42 locations at which the Israelites stopped and camped during their journey. So let's think about this. For 40 years, the people of Israel have been wandering in the wilderness. They know where God has promised to ultimately lead them, and they figure out where they are once they get to each encampment. But they have no idea where they are going from one day to the next. Suddenly, in Maseh, we get a detailed report of their whole journey. So we see a bird's eye view of their entire journey is mapped out only in hindsight. In the thick of it, the Israelites experience literal and figurative wilderness. We can all relate to this concept, illustrated in Maseh, that hindsight is 20/20. But how can we relate it to our personal journeys? So it's summer. Summer is a popular time to travel, to take a short journey. Maybe some of you just got back from vacation or are getting ready for an exciting trip. Some of you got back from camp. But I'm talking about a different kind of journey. Those longer journeys in life, like struggling through a physical illness, enduring the pain of loss, experiencing career troubles or a family dispute, or working through emotional distress. Virtually no lifetime is spared from these long, often difficult, often painful journeys, and in the thick of it, it can often feel like a true wilderness. For many years, one of my personal journeys has been trying to clarify my life purpose and mustering up the courage to pursue it. As many of you know, I went through law school, or suffered through law school, took the bar, practiced law, and I was an unfulfilled lawyer who knew my dream, ultimately, was to serve as a leader in the Jewish community as a clergy person. I had a very difficult time navigating my culture, my community, and my own heart, as fear, dejection, and self-consciousness paralyzed me from moving forward. It seemed I was always wandering, not knowing where I was headed, no clear path ahead, but knowing where I ultimately yearned to be. The Torah is a mirror of human experience. The Israelites showed doubt, fear, weakness, in other words, human fallibility during their wanderings. They doubt the possibility of their survival and even express regret for having left Egypt, almost right after the miracle of the splitting of the sea. We read about the 12 scouts, leaders of the Israelite tribes, who come back from Canaan with false reports of giants, showing disloyalty and stirring fear in the hearts of their families. The people challenge Moses' leadership and the authority of Aaron repeatedly through rebellion and otherwise, and so on. On my personal journey of figuring out my life purpose, I too certainly showed weakness. I doubted, I complained, I felt lost. But reading Maseh this week, I was inspired to reflect back on this journey and think about what the lessons from Israel's wanderings could teach me. I realized how much my struggles shaped who I am. Although the path seemed windy, each stop along the way prepared me for where I am now, working here in this wonderful community that's so dear to my heart, pursuing cantorial and hopefully rabbinic ordination, and engaging in intensive leadership training as a Wexner Fellow. My experiences have taught me to be a better leader and to have more empathy, life experience, and faith in my purpose as a leader in the Jewish community. Other than God's word and history of miracles the Israelites have witnessed, they don't know that they will make it or that they'll be okay. But we know the end of the story. We know that a new, evolved generation of Israelites who learned from their past mistakes will make it into the promised land. Their many stops along the way are powerful experiences that transform the Israelites from slaves to a new generation ready to possess the promised land. They're organized, they're loyal to one another and to their covenant with God, and they are prepared to create a new society. And I want to note one thing here. In the formulation of a new society in Israel, we read that one of the first instructions by God is to create 6 cities of refuge, 6 places of asylum for those who commit involuntary manslaughter. There's an acute awareness of the need to protect the innocent, to provide a haven and a fair trial for all. So we see that compassion and forgiveness are the basis of a sound society. Perhaps these lessons are something we can keep in mind on our own journeys. Often we forget our blessings, the miracles in our past, when immediately ahead of us there appears to be no clear answer. Just like our ancestors, we lose faith. But the journey of the Israelites reminds us of God's presence and guiding hand on our journeys. It urges us to consider that there is a path, a map, a rhyme and a reason for our wanderings that may only become clear later in hindsight. And often, our struggles, our wanderings, the mistakes we make, and the lessons we learn from them are just what we need to become the people we're meant to become. I want to share with you a poem by Israeli poet Shifra Alon, who writes, "Not every day does one encounter God, and not at every moment can one give oneself to prayer, nor can every hour be an hour of loving kindness. A person wanders and strays before reaching the journey's end. We start over again, and again we lose our way, groping and searching for our forgotten path. But they, those who search and wander, God seeks them out with candles." So in this poem, Shifra Alon reminds us that while a journey may be difficult or confusing, God seeks those who are searching, holding a candle to light the way. This Shabbat, may you reflect on your personal journey. May you find clarity and a renewed strength of purpose. May compassion and forgiveness guide you as they guided the foundations of society in Israel. And if you do feel like your path is uncertain, may we learn from the story of the 12 Israelite scouts who came back from Canaan, not to turn our fears into imaginary giants that threaten to paralyze us from moving forward, but rather have faith that a most wonderful destination awaits us. Shabbat Shalom.